say thank you, Ashe, so my ancestors can hear me. Good manners when I'm asking them to heal me. Life is like a clusterfuck of hornets, do you feel me? But sometimes time slows down and you can see the wings beating.
Blessings, fellow weird and wild ones. My name is Goddess, aka G, aka your friendly neighborhood witch. I'm a cinephile, kinkster, brat, and queen switch. Thank you for joining me on our way back to wholeness. This is our temple, our playground, our life, and our truths. For season 3, I will be talking with the fam about sacred sex, the sensuality and healing, and practicing healthy love. This work is for the collective from me, Brenda, and Kay. And there's a lot of magic that goes on behind the scenes. Find ways to support and practice reciprocity for all the dope folks on the show at the links below. Grab your toys, your potions, and your lotions, and let's reclaim our pleasure.
Tin Tiny Talks is a global, non-traditional artist-in-residency based in Portland, Oregon, that focuses on the Black, Indigenous, trans, gender non-conforming, two-spirit, and queer creative diaspora. How does it work? Each year, 10 artists are selected as artists-in-residency both from Oregon and from across the United States and beyond. These artists will complete commissions which will be presented during the 10 Tiny Talks Festival based in Portland, Oregon. Go to cravetheater.org for more information. That's CRAVETHEATRE.org.
Tiff Lin is a queer Taiwanese multidimensional artist playing, working in unceded Ohlone territory, otherwise known as Oakland, California. As a young Earth Dragon, their proud mission is to help folks break through limited belief systems, follow the path of authentic alignment, and actualize their fullest potential. They split their time organizing within API liberation spaces, facilitating healing through immersive storytelling and performance arts, and reading Chinese astrology charts, dancing and laughing unapologetically amongst friends. Their role within this greater revolution is to be an embodiment of pleasure, ease, creation, and abundance, and to help guide people into their gifts and unique essence. Welcome, Tiff.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. People can't see it right now, but Tiff is like dancing and moving, and
swaying.
That's the movement part. I see you do it every time I see you, and I'm just like, thank you for reminding me to move my body, no matter what. Thank you. So at the beginning of each episode, we share our pronouns and race or ethnicity, which we embody. And I can go first. So my name is Goddess. My pronouns are he, she, they, and I am Black-bodied. How about you, Tiff?
My name is Tiff. I go by they, them. And yeah, I am a Taiwanese American, born in Taiwan, raised in New Jersey, now living in Ohlone Territory, California.
You've been to different areas, just traveling
around.
Yeah. I'm checking question. In this moment, where do you feel pleasure in your body? Or where do you hope to feel pleasure? And where do you hope it is at the end of our time together?
Oh, wow. I love that question. Honestly, I wish more I wish more people would ask that question instead of the how are you question. That's like, blows my mind. I'm like, I don't know how to answer that. But yeah, pleasure. Well, right now I'm like rubbing my upper chest. Because I feel like a lot of sensation like on my upper torso of my body. And it feels good. It feels good to keep rubbing and massaging. And so, yeah, I think that there's pleasure movement, like as in a lot of excitement, a lot of buzzing. I think it's just like all the things that I want to say want to be let out and released. So I'm so grateful to be here as a guest here in the Sunseed community. At the end of this episode, I'd love to feel more pleasure, at least more groundedness through the bottoms of my feet. Like right now, I feel like I'm in like Kuan Yin Bodhisattva position with goddess of compassion and mercy. Like right now, I'm positioned with my one knee up and my other one extended, like feeling like I'm like anchored in that position of compassion and ease, and I love it. And I guess towards the end, I'd like to move and arrange my body so I can feel like more supported by the earth. So that's just something that I thought of. Yeah.
That I just sense that to be like a delicious transition from like a place of ease to a place of grounding, almost like a settling in.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think right now I'm feeling pleasure like at the top of my head. I think there's just like some things that are stirring that because of shifts in my life, like it's like, oh, now we can breathe and like form, like and create. So I'm really also kind of with the settling, like I would love for that to wash down over the rest of me for the rest of the day and like plant roots in the ground so that there's like a stable foundation for this creative energy to like just shoot out. Absolutely. So I'll start by saying this. I've actually had the pleasure of doing sessions with you and like receiving your work, and it really helped me to kind of create a map, like almost an organic map of where my life was going at that time. And so I feel like I'm on like a new part of that journey. And so it's nice to come back to. Before we started recording, I was like, I was thinking of my ox and thought of you. So it's like you now are like, you've just given me more tools for my life. And so I would love to talk a little bit about that first. So through your guided exploration, in the work that you do, you use Chinese astrology, and it was so thorough and intentional when you made that for me. So how did it feel in your body and heart as you deepen your connection to Chinese astrology?
Wow. Thank you. I'm also receiving that. Yeah, it makes me feel really happy to know that you've gotten a lot out of the embodiment Chinese astrology sessions you've had together. For me, coupling embodiment with Chinese astrology has been rather an intuitive process. And when I received my first Chinese astrology reading with my teacher, it almost like everything that I had been personally in pursuit of and didn't necessarily have the words for, like began to, everything like just started connecting. The dots started connecting as far as all the systems and all the elements and all the different archetypes of human behavior, in such a way that like I had language or had an understanding of how I personally, as a young earth dragon going into my rising Yinwood goat journey, personally speaking, could navigate my relationships, my career, my health, my wealth, all of that, right? So I guess coming into just belief. Honestly, all it takes is belief that we all have our own unique individual journey. We all have our own unique gifts, complete with strengths and also complete with like shadows, right? And to have more awareness and more even like emotional intelligence and vocabulary can offer tools of mastery for us to navigate our own, you know, human experience. Like we're all souls living in like meat vessels at the end of the day. And we all have raging emotions that might come out. And we might be actually, and it's very common to be in our own way. Like we're the only things that are stopping ourselves from actually like feeling flow, feeling how spirit wants to move through us. So in my discovery of Chinese astrology and in my own navigation of my own embodiment journey, I saw this as such a pure blend of science and art. And just like, there's just a sense of pride knowing that it came from my own ancestry, you know, derived from more than 8,000 years of study. And also comes from Taoism, comes from ancient Chinese cosmology, astrology, understanding the weathers and the stars and how the elements and how the yin yang work within us in our own cycles, in the outside seasons. It's taken a lot for me to put words into like this feeling of like, whoa, this is like ultimate connection right here. Like how patterns from the past, from like the macrocosm of the universe, can influence us so much in the microcosm of our individual identities, so that like this system called the Bazi, Chinese astrology, can actually predict with fairly good accuracy like how we're navigating into our futures. And so like, yeah, doing readings for people, offering readings for other folks from different diasporas, from different cultures, from different backgrounds, has been such a beautiful, also coming back home to self and to our own human experience. And it's definitely part of my journey as someone that also realized I had a lot of mysticism in my chart. And I'm excited to see where it goes. My offerings are constantly changing every year, so we'll see how this one goes.
I feel like that's okay, because it's a constant evolution, and it also is a reflection of the shifts within you. Like, totally. Of course they wouldn't stay, you know, the same, because you're not the same. Mm-hmm. When you talked about like the pride that you have that this has come from like your own lineage, it resonated with me, with just like my own journey with getting to know my ancestors and learning how they have navigated connecting with divine and, you know, practicing conjure throughout our like bloodline. Like there's something about tapping in to the magic and the power and the humble ebb of just spirit that runs through your body, that hits so different. It just hits so different. And it shows in your work that this isn't just like a formulaic, like do this in order to get where you need to go, but like it excites you, and it's like, this is a beautiful, like you were saying, like it's an art. It's like this beautiful tapestry of, this is how the stars have come together and the planets have come together and beings have come together to form you, and this is how you emit that.
This is how you best shine. I know.
Yes.
That.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So can you share a bit more about what embodiment or authentic alignment means to you?
Yeah, thank you. I feel like maybe it was 4 or 5 years ago, I started just feeling into the word embodiment and authenticity and expression and vulnerability and alignment, and how they all really have remarkable intersections and really are the keys to understanding our humanity and our compassion and developing empathy for each other and our collective experience. So I feel like in this world that we're living in, which we've become experts in many ways of numbing and coping from the struggle and the pain that has been incurred generationally across so much external and internal violence. Something that came to me that I also perceive as like a highly sensitive person within my ancestry, within my culture, and having been even in my family othered as like, you're just so emotional or you're so sensitive, right? And that being a bad thing. I feel like reclaiming embodiment to mean like my attunement to other people's energies in the room, even to the degree of how far along folks may repress those emotions, like navigating how best to be centered and grounded in my own self without being swayed or knocked off course due to what's happening in my outside environment. So for me, embodiment has been a journey of like, how do I know when I'm operating as myself in my own being, in my own movement, in my own articulation, versus almost like leaving my body and being thwarted off course and being swayed to the collective soma, or like the collective, cis hetero patriarchal norms, which can be considered like a sickness. So staying embodied or staying in authentic alignment has been like a practice in itself. I think everyone's journey is unique to their own situation and circumstances and where they're living, what they're eating, all of that, how they're moving. Long story short, embodiment means that your insides are in reflection of your outsides, that there's no cognitive dissonance in how you speak, that you can feel the ability to not only claim space for your essence to shine and to transmit and to feel fully received, but that there isn't any static noise that might interrupt true connection with your body and with your voice, with yourself, and any static noise that might interrupt the connection that you can potentially have with anyone else in front of you, like say your partner or your family. So it's like to be true essentially to yourself. And by being true to yourself, you can have true and authentic and honest reciprocal relationships. And I think that like everyone can benefit from that, as a way as we all move towards collective liberation. So.
There was so much in what you said that I think like comes full circle, especially with like, so if we start with like, like you talked about the generational numbing,
Mm.
and how, you know, in your family or like in the past, that has been seen as like something that you want, like you're overly sensitive, like you need to like contain that, or
Mm-hmm.
like you, and that is such a survival
Mm-hmm.
trait that especially BIPOC folks have had to learn how to use in order to make it through what has been the, you know, the colonization, the genocide of our bodies, our cultures, our spirits. And so to come back to that and like believe and trust and know yourself is such a like a an antidote to the poison of, yeah, whiteness. It's such a
Whiteness.
powerful
Yeah.
antidote. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's not just an antidote, I think, to the power of whiteness, even though that's a big one. It also just feels like an antidote to healing the pain that just comes with, you know, being a part of a world with hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when you talk about, you know, it embodiment being in alignment, or like a way to develop empathy and re-realize our humanity, I'm just like, yes, that is exactly what it is. It's like this, um, it's this awakening that was there all along, but because we were told that, you know, we shouldn't trust ourselves, our bodies are not safe,
Mm-hmm.
you know, our hearts are not safe, like we step away from. And so to come back to that and like you said, like be able to read the room and like see all the
Mm-hmm.
souls in it, and like know the souls that, you know, are still disembodied or disembodied in the moment, and see all of it and take it in, but not acknowledge it, but not take it in. Maybe that's the better way to say it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's why it's I don't know if wild is the right word. Can you describe, because you've been in a room where like you're
Mm-hmm.
surrounded by people that at one point you were there, and now that you're not, there's just a different,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, how does that feel?
Um, hmm. Are you speaking like being in a room with people who aren't embodied, or yeah, right? Or like,
Yeah, being in a room with people who aren't embodied
yeah, or like who
in the
are,
moment.
mm-hmm, or people who are kind of like visibly dissociating, and like not to mean that dissociating is a bad thing. It's we do that for our survival, and I've spent the majority of my life in disassociation.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's more like we have such a huge capacity for pleasure and for joy, but we limit that, um, because of our fear of going into our pain, into our grief. And I see that more and more now when I enter, yeah, Asian spaces, because yeah, that's the journey I'm in right now. Like the source of my pain now has, like, going deeper into that has become a challenge to a degree, because I feel the most unseen in a way historically in Asian spaces. But now I'm kind of like connecting the dots again, and accessing deeper seated emotions that I've almost turned away from, so that like when I feel safe and comfortable being who I am, and other folks that look like me and really honestly do feel like me, you know, we can like unlock those codes together, so to speak. So I guess this is more to say, like, we all have so much potential for for feeling like our humanness, and how does it feel to be in a room when I feel like people are shut down to those emotions, or feel like, oh, that's not for me, or I can't. I have felt the spectrum of feeling sad, or like feeling like I needed to shut down myself or dim down my light, to like feeling like almost also like swept away by like it's almost like a very tired, lethargic feeling that my body senses from everyone. And then I also, go into sometimes, to like then being like, I'm going to bust this out. Like, I'm going to do whatever I can to like free myself from this feeling. And when I do, it's like more and more gradually, I feel like more acceptance and more permission. And so, yeah, it's been weird, but it's been a fun process.
Oh, preach it. Yeah. Yeah. So much of, as you're talking, I'm like feeling my own memories with that. Yeah. I feel like, yeah, can we just take a moment to just
for sure
acknowledge there is a deep pain that comes from being the channeler of the transformation in the light, and also being the thing that put simply, like those we love want to dim because it scares them, because they know it's possible within them, but it's easier to just stay in what people deem as the norm. And that feeling of being unseen by those that you know so deeply love you the way they know how to love, it hurts. It really hurts. And quite frankly, this isn't a path that everyone can go through. I hate to say, I was raised in a very deeply religious family, and like one of the scriptures that always like came up a lot is like the road is like narrow. I can't remember it verbatim, but it reminds me of that. It's like it's a very narrow journey, and it's not narrow because it's not for us. It's narrow because of all the work and imagination and dreaming that goes into making it feel impossible. And so to barrel through that, like you were saying, I'm like, yes, you barrel through that, Sasha. I'm just picturing you like running through all this darkness and shining this light. And it seems like very dreamlike the way I'm explaining it, but it fucking sucks. And it's also so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it definitely feels like the esoteric seeker mystic path of seeing that there's so much more mystery and so much more potential in the unseen realms, right? And sometimes feeling so, almost to the degree of feeling like I am alone in this, right? But yeah, I feel like it's the keys to the macrocosm is like the more that people feel, and I'm speaking personally about myself and my own stuff. The more people feel like safe enough to be themselves, the more, things will shift in a way that feels really aligned. Vibrational matches will happen and incur naturally, those forces.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, even though it is hard sometimes to be feeling like I'm the channel for the collective Asian voices, like it's not just me, right? We're all holding it,
Mm-hmm.
but I do feel for that I signed up in this lifetime to hold a heavy bowl of it. And I, as like a rising Gemini and like a Capricorn sun, like I want to do this work. And simultaneously I can feel conflicted because it does feel heavy. So
Yeah. Almost as if you couldn't, like, if you had the choice to not do it, you still would do it. And
yeah,
quite frankly, we do and don't have the choice. Like, you are who you are. You is what you is. Like,
yeah.
Maybe somewhere, in another lifetime, there was a contract that we decided to sign for this. And I wouldn't go back and undo that. And I think simply by being like you were saying about like being able to hold a space where people can come and be simply as they are isn't like that is magic in itself. And sometimes that is enough. And I think that it allows that delicious like flexibility. I'm picturing you like moving right now, where you can hold the space, but you don't have to take it on. You could witness someone, but you don't have to be the solution for them. Just allow them to go through their own transformation. Yeah, absolutely. Because we talked about this before, but yeah, we don't have the answers.
Yeah, I can say.
Yeah.
Say I'm as fucked up as you are right now, but at least I'm laughing about it. It's like my mastery.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is the truth. That is the truth. Sometimes I think, actually, well, I'll speak for myself. There's a misconception that like it's not realistic the way that we operate, but the more you step into it, the more you realize you're not the only one. And there's other people who are operating like this too, and it does get lonely because it means that a lot of the people you used to hang with or be really close to, you no longer operate like them. But there's this reality that starts to there's a new dream that starts to become more and more real. And once you realize the dream and you're dreaming into it, you can't really undream it. You can't really undo it. Yeah. So you talked a little bit before about unlocking these codes together. I think it goes along with like making space for people to just be witnessed. So
good.
Yeah. So as a queer, non-binary, BIPOC person, how have you started to unearth the queerness in your culture while acknowledging the anti-queerness within your ancestors' history? Because I think that that's a part of like, first of all, unlocking the code, like unlocking that code within you.
Yeah. Yeah, first I want to acknowledge what you had said here about making spaces for people to be witnessed. I feel like that has been a significant medicine for me in my healing embodiment journey, is like actively finding the containers for me to feel like my rage or my grief or my joy can be expressed. And it's something that like I am also wanting to create like immersive experiences for my specific community creations to gather, to commune, to like experiment with their voice and like feel fully like able to channel their unique message and not necessarily live totally in their heads about like, what do people want to hear from me, or how should I be talking as per my identity? You know, it's like we're constantly shifting, constantly evolving. So yeah, I think that's the message that I want to impart ultimately, as like that is the solution, right? To create more gatherings where people can feel uplifted to like dive into the messiness of their truth even. And for that was like one point. And I think then you asked the question like, how am I in the process of unlocking the queerness within my own culture while also simultaneously seeing the anti-queerness within my family, my ancestors. I think this goes to say that there's a lot of traditional conservative, you could call it Confucianism, values that don't necessarily, that I understand because I grew up with them. Very collectivist, very centered around status, as like, you know, the student looks up to the teacher, the children look up to the parents, the wife looks up to the husband. It's like kind of roles that we play. That I feel like from seeing or like understanding my own family dynamics and how it's shifting, and how when I shift into being more queer and into more like, you know, evolving into my non-binary presence and being, I feel like, and seeing how my parents and how my family are gradually shifting into acceptance, I feel the subtleties of us, even if it's like at a slow glacial pace, like writing or like, you know, removing those patriarchal codes, so to speak. So yeah, like this work, you know, if I can feel, like I said before, embodied and strong and anchored in my truth and advocate for my needs and express my boundaries. I live in a boundaryless culture. There's been so many times where my mom walked in while I'm in a therapy or coaching session, and I'm like, the door is closed. What are you doing? Like, that it would incite and evoke so much rage in me. And I'm like, I feel so unseen in so many ways, like no respect. But then feeling like, yeah, I don't know where I went with where I'm going with that. That happened recently. So I'm like, whoa, there's still a lot of work to be done in that way. But yeah, when I can work on asserting my boundaries and knowing that my needs matter, regardless of the fact that I'm the middle child, or like that I'm, you know, technically not producing as much money as my youngest brother, you know, like things like that, like the internal full sense of knowing myself, I feel energetically, and this is my wish, energetically brings me and is bringing me further sense of self-worth that I feel. And I really, I'm like trying to like really feel this right now. My ancestors appreciate, and that my parents appreciate, regardless of whether they say it or not, right? And that I feel that that's disrupting those the Asian cultural, like, you need to produce to be value. You need to be producing a lot of money. You need to be status oriented. You need to be having high, whatever positions of power in order to be loved. Like, that is the old narrative. That is the old way. And yeah, that's concurrently how I'm navigating my own queerness and my own queerness within my work and also within my own gender expression and the way that I choose to live life. Oh, okay.
Well, like that. Oh,
these are following. That bread.
Oh yeah, I feel you, fam. And I just there is such a heavy emphasis on like producing some type of like tangible success in our cultures.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to be making a lot of money, you need to have a partner. In my case, it would have been a man.
Mm-hmm.
And have babies. Like, that is what success is. And you talked about like those are the old ways, and I'm like, how far back does this go? Like, at what point did someone, you know, in our cultures be like, this is ideal, and everyone else is like, yeah, like that. And I think it started from multiple different things. But like you said, you do see a change in the way your family sees you the more you step into yourself and your truth. Yeah. And in my case, I've actually also started to like see the ways that like they also reflect that. And I'm just like, y'all don't know it, but it's going on with y'all too. Have you noticed that, like, with your loved ones?
Yeah, I feel like, you know, like saying like we are the averages of the people around us, you know, the 5 people in the room around us or something. And I do feel like if you are in proximity in space and close relationships with people, especially if you're living with them or spending an extended duration of time with them, that the ways of being, like the life ways of being, can, or at least how you carry yourself and how you give voice to things, can shift the way people also see themselves and communicate. So for example, if and this is something that I am slowly trying, like incorporating like nonviolent communication, or being not reactive to my saying specifically my mother, because I spent nearly 10 days with her just recently, not being reactive to her defensiveness and just speaking like, when I hear you say that I feel XYZ, I've noticed that she slows down and she corrects herself and apologizes, and that's something that had never happened before. So yeah, being the model. Dope. Right? I know, it was really great. Yeah, because she can operate on stories of how and what I do with my time, but then I saw a pattern I played of being aloof and not and then going directly into shame, and so I don't advocate for myself in the past, and now I'm like, oh, okay, well, when you said that, it makes me feel sad because it feels like you don't acknowledge what I actually do, and this is what I'm doing, right? Instead of like going and defaulting into silence and the perpetuating story I've had in my existence of like, you'll never understand me and I don't care, I don't need you, right? So yeah, I think that a lot of, I don't know if you relate to that, but I feel like a lot of our Asian collective, especially in this post-Trump, like Chinese virus era, where my elders are being attacked, beaten, and stabbed still to this day. I feel that, yeah, we are all facing our own racial reckoning of what it means to be Asian American and what it means to belong in this country, where a lot of people have lived here for many generations, but they're still, feeling that they have to prove themselves to even sit in the same room. And so that goes into like internalized racism of going deep into assimilation, white adjacency, losing one's culture, feeling ashamed of their immigrant parents, to like then, reclaiming that sense of, for folks, I feel like in this past year, now that there's more media attention, within Asian Americans, I feel that they are having to face with like, wow, like I've got a lot of stuff. Like I hope anyway that they're more aware of their own internal voices. And I do hope and wish that we can at least hear and apologize more to the way that we treat ourselves. And that's also a work in progress for me as I translate those sentiments into art. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When you spoke about setting a boundary with your mom, and her, like something's like flicking on within her that like, oh, I have overstepped, and I'm actually talking to a sentient being, and I need to treat them as such. And I love this person. like all those, those things that like come online, hopefully when you realize you fucked up and someone like lovingly tells you to stop.
Yeah.
That boundary setting, there is such a fierce yet gentle warrior in that. Yeah. And so when you speak of the continued abuse of, your people, to be, and this resonates for me as well, to be, to watch as harm, hate, and a shutting down is continued to like be forced on your people. There's such a bravery, but also this like, I'm ready to come in and fuck shit up about just saying no, no more. And it starts with like the smaller things, like when you're talking to, when you're talking to a loved one, and create boundaries. Because yeah, we've been taught that like boundaries, what are those? And that, our energy and our time is disposable and can be used by other people. Yeah. I do. I feel like there needs to be so much more space for what you just said. And I hope that in your coming projects, that is spoken into more. And I know it will be. And I think that this is going to spark something within other people listening to this, because I still need to sit with it myself. But before we go, you mentioned before the interview, Kuan Yin.
Yeah.
And the queerness within Kuan Yin. So could you speak to that a little bit? Because I don't want to go without talking about that.
Yeah, of course. So it was actually communicated to me, and I always had this feeling when I see Guanyin Pusa as a statue or as a painting, that there's this non-binary, beautiful display of yin and yang that exists within their stance, and the way that they carry themselves. I think they go by she, they. More modernly, there's been more pictures and depictions of Kuan Yin as a she, but she actually came from, and here I have the name, like before Kuan Yin, or before, Kuan Yin became to be presented as a woman. She was actually in Tibet and Nepal, Avalokiteshvara, who's always been presented as a male. So when Buddhism spread to China, the name Avalokiteshvara was translated from its Sanskrit origins into the Chinese name Kuan Yin. So there's many works of art where Kuan Yin is a male, where they're more presented as a female, or a lot of cultures are like, she looks asexual, or, there's just this androgynous aspect to their being and their essence. And I feel like seeing them, I've always felt that. I've always felt very comfortable around just seeing their statue and seeing, that this bodhisattva of compassion, she who hears the cries of the world, she feels like she's part of me, and and that they feel like they exist within us all, and that we all have that potential. Yeah.
When you spoke of them being a part of you, or like a reflection of you, your eyes just it shows. It definitely shows. It's so nice to unearth those little gems of reminders that you are who you were born to be. And so who else in your life, what beings come to you that inspire your work?
I'm currently in the midst of I don't know about studying, but I'm in this amazing program for Asian diaspora folks. Most of us are queer, and it's being facilitated under Dohee Lee, and that's just one name that comes in my mind. Who she's like deeply like a ritualist performance artist, and deeply connected to Korean shamanism. So she bridges just community activism, healing through ritual, and also into her performance art. And there's like this very much depth into her work that I feel personally drawn to in where I am in my own life stage of being more drawn into ritual and the esoteric realm. So definitely look into her work, Dohee Lee, Dohee, and in my own coming into sense of vulnerability, into hopefully I can feel more visible as far as my own thoughts and emotions. I've always felt inspired by seeing Adrienne Maree Brown. Like, her work is fascinating to me, like pleasure activism in general. Most of my influences honestly have been direct experiences with the people that I am honored to call good friends now. And it's still been like very much like, you know, there are people who've done so much in their lifetime, and I personally don't feel so alone, or like I have to recreate the wheel. So yeah, it's been good to kind of have my antenna out. What about you?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Same. I feel like the people that I've been honored to be on this earth with and form family with have inspired me. Rev Angel Kyodo Williams is a big one for me. And just, I think, stepping into what you spoke about unlocking the code together. I think that she was the awakening of that within me, that I didn't have to operate from a place of defensive-ness when dismantling. That's been huge. Also Adrienne Maree Brown.
Yeah.
And also like Nalo Hopkinson, like a whole bunch of Black queer speculative fiction authors. Just
Octavia.
Really, Octavia, Audre Lorde, not speculative fiction, but still dope. But I want to say that the people that like are more well known, they feel like they've been more of reminders to me that like that I hold the key, and that the people around me also hold the key. And I think the bigger inspirations have been being able to do that process together with loved ones. Like chosen family just feels so huge.
Yeah.
So huge. Thank you for asking that. So where can we find you? How can we learn more about you? How can we schedule with you? All of that jazz.
Yay, thanks for asking. I feel like, you can find me on my website and on my Instagram. Those are direct sources. I can also give you my email. It's tiffrexrey, TIFFREXREI. That's my Instagram handle, and it's also my Gmail. Yeah, tiffrexrey@gmail.com. Website's at tiffanylin.co. There you'll find my mixed array of offerings, and to be in touch as far as the multitude of offerings that are always evolving. It's best to just, if whatever I said today translated well, or if there's anyone out there that's wanting to go deeper in any of those realms of Chinese esoterics, including astrology and feng shui, or embodiment and authentic alignment, we can get on like a 30-minute like exploratory call or conversation about, and then I can just attune to what kind of offering works best. That might benefit wherever you are in your journey. It's never too late to start this path, and I do definitely believe in the power of when you're ready, you're ready. Yeah.
So hit him up. Hit Tiff up.
Yeah.
All of that will also be available at the links in the show notes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, so I feel like pausing for a second just to just in gratitude for your truth today. Yeah, that which was said and that didn't need to be spoken but was felt. So thank you. And with that, before we wrap up, where are you feeling pleasure now in your body?
Oh my God, thank you. Yeah, after that pause, I'm like, oh, my feet is now on the ground. And then placing my hands on my womb, and I'm feeling a lot more pleasure coming from my heart. Yeah, down in my lower dantian, and yeah, with that exhale I was holding on to because I was just so excited. Oh. Yeah, it's coming down into the earth. I hope it translates into the rest of the world and the collective, and offer the seeds of insight and the articulation of things that, again, were said, or the things that were left unsaid, because it was felt that gets transmitted to all the folks in this earth and across the galaxy. Yeah, thank you, Goddess. Thank you for your holding. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel that light coming lower into my body, into my tummy area, and I can't wait for it to go even lower as the day moves on. So may you continue to be rooted, and may you continue to be that force. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, looking forward to it.
That's it, y'all. That's our show. Big thank you to Cloud Stokely for providing their song Lo-Fi Beats to contemplate YT supremacy on season 3. Your music is a whole vibe, fam. And thank you for your continued support, y'all. Keep pleasuring yourselves.
Tin Tiny Talks is a global, non-traditional artist in residency based in the Northwest, focusing on the Black, Indigenous, trans, gender non-conforming, two-spirit, and queer creatives. We'd like to congratulate our 2021 recipients: Belinda Rose, A.C. Ramirez de Arellano, Kareem Jackson, Cloud Stokely, Callisto Nanan, D&D Productions, Nick Labonte, Zinnia Opio, Marla Darling, and Mixdalia de Lubel. You are the definition of excellence. Go to cravetheater.org to meet the artists.